Evening. Welcome to Thursday, our live with Trey and Jay. I'm Trey.
Hey, I'm Jay.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us. So, listen, we have a bomb conversation happening. First of all, this month, but also tonight. Like, you already know, you see a seatbelt on, I'm outside. But listen, y'all, for real, I hope y'all stay tuned all the way for this conversation because it's about to be so super dope. But make sure you all also know that on this channel, thank you so much for joining us. On this channel, we share our lives to empower women to love Jesus, love themselves, and love others well. So Janelle is about to drop the topic. Pull up on the topic, Janelle.
So, if you all have been watching, well, following us on Instagram, on Facebook, or on our website, you know that this month we're talking all about Jesus and therapy. The "and" is big. Why? Because a lot of people they go to Jesus or they go to therapy, but they don't do the "and." And so we're talking
And
about
matters.
right. We're talking about the importance of Jesus and therapy, and that's the whole entire month of this month of May is actually mental health awareness month. And so we are very we found it to be very important to have that conversation, Tracy and I. And today we're starting off with our friend who we love dearly. Her name is Mixie, and we're gonna actually, let me tell you a little bit about Mixie. We decided actually to have Mixie on because I was just telling Trey about how I've noticed her in her walk for the last couple of years in difficulty, and I know she loves the Lord, and she picked up therapy, and I see how it's been so helpful for her throughout these years. And there has been some difficult times that she's been through,
Mm.
and of course some amazing times as well, but I've seen her go through it with grace. And so we're gonna bring Mixie
This
on.
is why the and is so
Lydia.
important, y'all. The and
Hey,
is so
lady.
important. It is Jesus and therapy. The and matters. Come on, Mixie. Hey, girl. Hey. Come on with
Hello.
your bed style. Pull up on us.
Come on,
Right.
come on. I'm
She said
loving
she gonna
all the
come
hair
on
y'all
and let us
giving
know where
me.
she at. That's what she said. She said she gonna let us know. I heard you.
Yes, 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 yes. Brooklyn all day. You know what? I love Bed-Stuy. I have a heart for Bed-Stuy, so I appreciate that shirt.
Yes, yes.
So Mixie, let's get
Let me
right into
just drop
it.
Flatbush in there one time. Okay, that's it. I'm out.
Yes, Tracy's from Flatbush.
Right.
Tracy's
I
from
know. You
Flatbush.
know. The cousins. The cousins.
Because so let's get right into it. Tell us about yourself, Mixie.
I am born in the South with New York sensibilities.
Oh,
Yo, I was just saying this the
sensibilities.
other day. It's so weird. It's so true. It's so weird. I was in my discipleship. I have a discipleship group of women that I disciple, and she's when she's saying, "Oh, Southern people are so nice and so kind," I was like, and I was not one of those people. I was like,
Really?
"Why everything? Like, what is that about?" Like, to this day, my family is always like, "You were meant to be in a different place than Virginia." But born in Virginia, uh, always had. My parents are both creatives. My dad was a jazz musician and a DJ, and but both of them were teachers, educators as well. And so my mother was a singer. She um, loved the Lord and sang in gospel choirs as much as she could. And so we grew up in a house that was, full of the arts. They really took the time to invest in us and our creativity. And I kind of, shied away from it more than my sister did. Both my sisters, my older sister was always acting and performing. My younger sister was always singing. And I kind of just like, I'm doing science. I want to
Yeah.
get this check. I'm very logical. I'm a Cancer in that way. I was like, I want to get stability. I want this check. And so I worked really hard, especially in undergrad, and I got an opportunity to work at UVA hospital. I went to UVA undergrad and got a chance to work in the hospital. And that's when God was just like, oh, but you had plans that didn't line up with mine. and I had that who in their last year of grad school takes like 20 credit hours? Last, right, right. Like why? Like why? and was doing all things to just get this double major degree. And God was like, you're not doing this. This is not what you're doing. This is not where your passion is. And I
Mhm.
had many people speaking to my life and be like, why are you here? Like, clearly you've been, because they'll be like, why'd you come late to class? I was like, well, I was in rehearsal. Well, why were you in rehearsal? Oh, because I act too, but it's just a hobby. Like, that's what I would tell them. It's just a hobby. Just doing it for fun. And they're like, nah, this is more than fun for you. And I'm thankful for the people who saw past my logic to my passion and spoken to my life at that time. And I shifted gears. I had one teacher to this day. I check in with him every year. He's an amazing man. His name is Richard Warner. I know Richard Warner, and he, an amazing, amazing teacher. And he just said, look, if you're serious, he poured into me after hours, after school, and helped me audition for grad schools for theater. And even when I didn't get in, I got waitlisted to the school I wanted to go to, which was Brown. He was like, look, you can come and sit in all my classes at UVA while I used to work at the hospital. Like, you gonna be this act. Like, he had a plan. Like, I didn't have a plan. I was like, I'm done. I wasn't even going to accept the wait list. I was like, I'm waitlisted. That means I'm not in. He was like, put your name on the wait list and keep it moving. Like, you're going to be an actor. And having someone that early believe in me was just, because I didn't believe in me. It was scary for me.
Oh.
And then, but God did it. And I got off the wait list and I got into Brown. I found out right before graduation that I was going to Brown. And that whole journey brought me to a deeper understanding of the importance of living for Christ, because I was in a sea of people who were not thinking, just not thinking about a lot of things, but definitely not about their faith. And it was the one thing that anchored me, and God made sure I was taken care of. But He really had people pour into me, Christian women. Shout out to my friend Mary Jackson. The whole Jackson family poured into me and just showed me what it meant to live for Christ, to live with conviction for Christ. And then my mentor and dear friend Angela Gonzalez, her just passion. She was a musical theater actress who just loved the Lord and let everybody know it. And I'm thankful that I had those people, because I wasn't getting that in my school and my training. I was actually going to leave after my first year. I was miserable and just didn't see, there was not a lot of people that looked like me, the one other African-American woman. It was a lot. It was hard. I mean,
Yeah, I can
and not to just
imagine.
blame her, but it was hard just being the two. And she had her own idea and own journey that she was trying to, and things she wanted to accomplish, and didn't know how to read me, and didn't know. I was naive, and first time living that far north in Rhode Island, and had a lot to learn. So I was like, I'm good on this. But people, again, God put people in my path to pour into me and show me what it looked like to really live out my faith. And so that by the time I got to New York, and that wasn't even a plan to come to New York. First of all, I was a Chi-Town girl, still kind of am. I love Chicago, but I had spent some time working at Wheaton Bible College in undergrad, and when I was in high school, and I just the Moody Bible College. I just thought this is the city, this is the energy I wanted, and
You were like, no, I need New York.
God was like, nah, you gonna go to
Go
this
to New York.
university, yeah.
So you
I
went
mean,
to,
their pizza is alright though.
yeah, Chicago's all right,
It's
but New
alright.
York is where it is. So you went to Brown
Yeah.
for undergrad. I mean for grad, right?
Yes, grad. Mm-hmm.
For grad, and from there you moved on to be an actress.
Yeah, this is God. I was the only student in my class that walked away with an agent and a manager after doing. That's Jesus. Nobody else walked away with representation, and I'm telling you, so many people, and they're very talented. It made no sense why that didn't happen.
That's
That
awesome.
was God.
So pretty much Mixie's an actress, y'all. She can act. Like she just
Listen
did a
to me. I
monologue
seen
the
I
other day.
seen
Yeah.
one of Mixie's plays, and I was lost in the whole play. I was lost. I was like, wait, Mixie's name is, I forgot the name of the role that you were playing, but I was like, wait, that's not Mixie. That's crazy. Cause sis, I believed every ounce of you.
We forgot about Mixie and we
I
believed
forgot
the
about Mixie. It
character.
was like, oh my goodness, she said that. Dang, that's crazy. That's when you know you good. When it's like you deep dive into the role that nobody, even people that actually know you, cannot distinguish you from your role. Now
Thank
that,
you.
listen, you walked away with representation for a reason. Boop.
Thank you. I was so young.
So Mixie, I have a question, of course.
Yeah.
Why therapy? Let's get into that.
Yeah. No, let's do. So early on, so my parents, so back rewind, my parents divorced when I was officially divorced when I was like in the 6th grade.
Mm,
And it was hard because my parents, first of all, I didn't even know the difference between divorce and what my parents were doing because my father was working, always traveling, always going. So I was like, okay, so you still here the same amount of time? Like I don't know
right.
what that means. And as we got older, he started being around less and less, and then it really hit. And they could tell. My mother could tell. My father could tell, and they both believed in therapy too. But we didn't really. We weren't going to therapy. My parents were like, so my mom would go to therapy, and we would sit and wait. So I knew it as a place that my mother would go and cry and scream sometimes. And then she'd come out and she'd be calm, and we'd be like,
That's
okay,
for real what happens. You cry and scream, and then you come out and you look a little bit more calmer. That's for sure.
she would come out and she wasn't ready to like jump down our throats. And we was like, okay, so this therapy must be a good thing. We don't know what she's doing in there. I'll never
It
forget.
is
Her name was
working.
Terry. Miss Terry. I'll never forget. I was like, yo, Miss Terry, you doing some things in there. Like I really didn't understand. And then my dad started going to therapy, and then my father's in it. My father he wanted to practice his therapy on you. So he would he would give us things that his therapist had given him to do with us. So, but we still as kids didn't fully do it as a family until I was in I think I was in undergrad. Yeah, we did a weekend family therapy, and it changed our lives. I mean, I didn't even understand what they were doing and putting in us, even as parents that were co-parenting at that point. And so fast forward to 2019. Well, even before then, but I had been saying I need to go to therapy. I need to go to therapy. But I wasn't doing it because I really just felt like I didn't have the time to slow down. Like I didn't have the time
Mm,
to invest. It was always about time. And even because money is money, but the time was what kept me. Because a lie in my mind, I don't have time. And then
mhm.
my dad
I
died in
love that you said that it
2019.
was a lie. It's a lie that you believed
It's a
that you
lie.
didn't have time. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's good.
it is
That's
a it is
good.
a it's a powerful, strong lie because you can easily feel. But you got time to be on Instagram, right? You got time to post, but I didn't have time for therapy.
Sis. Mm.
I know. I say it to myself all the time when I say I don't have time. I'm like, well, what did you spend your time on? Because that's where it went. So when my dad died, God sat me all the way down, and it wasn't even like I don't have time. It was like I don't have energy to do anything else but slow down.
Mm,
I mean, when I tell you where I was at, like I have laundry in my building, in my apartment building, and I didn't have the energy to even walk to down the stairs I don't even walk up the stairs, walk out the door. I would have someone pick up my laundry, do it, and bring it back. I didn't have the energy to cook for myself. I would time
Yeah.
out the Uber Eats at the Hoy Skimmer Horn stop so that when I hit send at Hoy Skimmer Horn, the food would be right there to put in my hand, and I would eat it,
mm,
and I would lay down. I
Sounds
had
about right.
no energy. I had nothing to give, no more output.
mm,
And I literally, I, so when I was still working. So when my dad died, I was still performing. I was doing the show that you saw, the second part of it, and the theater is the one that they asked me what did I need, and I was just crying. I was like, I need to talk to somebody. Like I can't do this job and not be taking care of
yeah.
myself. And that carried into when I came back to New York, me just, asking anyone, can you please recommend me to your therapist? One of my friends, she felt so bad. She was like, here's my appointment. Like, take my appointment and sit with my. She saw
Wow.
the state I was in. She was like, I'm gonna miss this week. You go talk to him, and
Shout out to that friend.
Right.
Shout
yo,
out.
Dion Galvadores. I let you
Wow,
know.
because for you to miss your own therapy session and then to give it to somebody else, lot of mercy. That's yo. Now that's an act of love.
That's sacrifice.
That's a love language right there.
Mm-hmm.
Dion, kudos to you, girl.
She did. She got me in that room because I was
Mhm.
struggling. I just couldn't find. I didn't have the energy to go to a bad therapist, and I had been to one.
Right. That's a whole nother topic.
Ooh wee. Woo.
That's a whole nother topic.
It is, but
Having
I
a good
definitely,
therapist.
yeah, I was like, I can't. And he helped me. Her therapist helped me find my therapist that I am with now, Sandra Chaplin, and I'm very thankful because I literally said, because I had therapists being like, okay, so your father died and they want to tell me the homework. Here's your homework. I was like, you don't understand. I can't do the simple things for myself, much less do some homework. I just need to find ways of getting through the day. That's where I was. And
Yeah.
not feeling like I was going to fall apart.
This
And then
Yeah.
is
you
so
telling me
good.
to do some homework. I ain't got time for that. And
Right.
she understood
So
that.
good. The people, y'all, the people. I hope the people are hearing this because this right here, Mixie, what you just said is that's a
Yeah.
gem because the reality is when you are going through something, the first thing that falls apart is you and your routine. So you and your routine and your energy, you don't got enough. The same way that you were talking about, like, I can't go downstairs and put the laundry in. I don't have that energy. It's a lot of energy.
Yeah.
I don't have the energy to go get this food. It's a lot of energy. Just even getting up is a lot of energy, let alone here comes this therapist. Because in our minds, we're thinking, okay, this is going to be good for us, right? Here comes the therapist who's like, do homework. No, I
No.
need you to
That's why
hear
I'm
me.
here.
That's
Right.
why I'm here. So
It's
good.
so true. And
Yeah.
finding someone who understood that and took me through a stepwise process of getting me to a place where I could do that kind of work is what my therapist gave me, because
Yeah.
she was like, letting me know that's okay. And I'm just going to slowly ask you things about your routine and celebrate the things that you want to celebrate, and listen to and help you reflect and process the things that you're working on. One big thing, I couldn't run. I'm a big runner. I ran cross country in high school. I'm a runner. I run. Every time I would think about running, I would just break down and cry. And I didn't understand why. And she helped me process stepwise through that and understand what that was connected to for me, and say it's okay that you
Mm.
can't do that, and helped me find other ways to get back into it. And then the day that I did run and I met with her, she celebrated with me. I was the day. You know what I
Yes.
mean? That was the day.
Ah, let me get off mute so I can cry. It's so good.
That's
Ah,
awesome. That's awesome.
It was that.
So you found your footing, at least the beginning of your footing,
Yeah.
with your therapist. Now, why do you think it's so important to have that relationship with Jesus and that relationship with your therapist, or to have a therapist in general, like the combination of it? Why do you think that's so important?
First of all, I wouldn't have had discernment to know where to go and who to ask if I didn't have Jesus.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have been able to say this therapist. None of their bad therapists. They're not. They're not going to give me what I need for where I'm at, right? And that's because of the Holy Spirit. That's that discernment. And then who to ask. I literally just pray. I was like, God, I don't even know who to ask. And then Dion called me and asked me about how my
Mhm.
therapy went, and I just booed and cried. And then she was like, okay, so this is what we're doing.
So
So
here's
again,
my
like, that moving of the Holy Spirit for discernment is the biggest thing. That sometimes you could be in, I hear people say, well, I hate therapy, or I had a terrible experience and this and that, or that wasn't. And it really is because that person wasn't aligned with your spirit.
Mm.
Whatever you believe, but definitely if you believe in Jesus, you got to have somebody who's giving you Jesus. And whether they say that they are, that was the thing with my therapist, is that like she didn't lead right away with her faith, and or being transparent about her faith. It was more centered on me. But when those moments came, she could speak Jesus into my life. Did it? Had no
So
hesitation.
this is the question I have: is your therapist listed as a Christian therapist?
So this is what I don't know. I need to look her up because I met her through. So this, my friend's therapist was like, I know this is my colleague. Her name is Sandra. She will be. I think she has time and space, and so it was all word of mouth. It was really the Lord. Um, but I should look at where she's listed because I don't know, but I know that she professes and will say, "Well, have you prayed about it?"
Mm.
Um, but she also, it's again centered on my practice and my relationship with Christ. She allows her guidance when she gives it. Most of the time, she just listens.
Yeah.
To be, and I needed that to be giving me the word, giving me things to do that are in my faith practice to double down on when she needs to give that, and I appreciate
Yeah.
it. The other thing I would say is that uh, in the moment, like Jesus. It's funny when I'm in therapy, it feels like Jesus is right there sitting with me in therapy. So it's like me, Jesus, my therapist, because there'll be moments where I just want to go off, and she's listening and she's doing what she's
Yep.
doing, and I'm breaking down or whatever that is, whatever the day is, and I really will give the space and time to breathe and be still too, and God will just speak to me and say, you know what, and then and some things and thoughts will come. And it'll be like, maybe I need to look at myself more, right? God will be like, this is more about you. That part is not about them. I was having conflict with a friend, and God and my therapist were working on me in that room, and that's why it's important too, because
Mm.
it can't just be man working on you. God to bring change, sustainable change. God and my therapist asked me a question about like, what is bothering you? Why are you still so angry? Because all I just want to do is vent. She was like, but why? This is who this person is. They haven't hidden their behavior or how they're going to respond. So what
Mm.
is the anger? What does that have to do for you? And God was like, your ego. I was like,
Oh, it's that hidden stuff that sometimes humans don't get, which is fine. They're not supposed to get. But like you said, the Holy Spirit, which is like brings discernment. And I just wanted to go back a little bit with the word discernment. That's like insight or wisdom about certain things. Because some people don't know what that word means. But yes, that was what the Holy Spirit did for you, which is God gave you that information. That and he shut you down ego, the hard stuff that you it's hard to
Mhm.
hear, but it's so good for you. It's so good for
yeah,
you.
I think there's
So
something that you mentioned that I wanted to circle back on. You mentioned about how important it was for you to like be honest and be real and express yourself in therapy. And I think oftentimes, I think especially as we're opening up this conversation for the month, I think it's extremely important for us to talk about therapy is not a fixer upper.
yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
What therapy is what you make it. You know what I'm saying? So if you actually desire to see yourself in a healed capacity, in a healing capacity, it's not healed ed as if it's past tense, as if it's done, period. You'd be dead, we'd be dead. But it's truly a
Yeah.
matter of like, it's a continuum. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So I think it's so vital for us to mention how real we get to be, how authentic we get to be, how honest we get to be. You know how scary it is um to say out loud that you're not showering? Like that's that's very difficult.
yeah,
You know what I'm
To
saying?
admit, yeah.
To go there with
yeah,
a person, because in our minds, we can quickly see whatever is going on with us as our own armor. You know what I'm saying? Like that's
Yeah.
a self-preservation, trying to protect ourselves. But I
Mm-hmm.
think if there's anything for us to all get out of what you said, which it was so good and so rich, but if there's anything for us to get out of it, it's really giving yourself the space to be honest with you. That's really what therapy is.
Yeah.
This is not like, oh, it's going to patch you up and so on and so forth, but it's like you can love Jesus, you can believe in Jesus, you can fight for your relationship with him consistently and your time and your space with him and go to therapy
Yeah.
Yeah.
and still be struggling. Let's say that part too. Like
Oh,
it can still be a struggle.
a
Just
hundred
because you're
percent.
doing Jesus and therapy doesn't mean that you got the Morse code down pat. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you're still growing, you're still struggling, you're still going through this life. So I think it's just I just really wanted to make mention and circle back onto something that you said about being honest, about being open, about really giving yourself the space to be part of the process.
Yeah.
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 So
And
I have. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I just want to say it's like that space and grace to it was a letting go and being gracious to myself.
Being.
That I even in therapy, like sometimes I would want to beat my own self up, and she's like,
Oh my God.
"Won't you give yourself a little bit more grace?" And reminding me that I needed to
Lot of
do
mercy.
that because I just was like, "Why can't I be normal again?" Like I just really wanted to get back to normal again, and I
Mhm.
Lot of
think
mercy.
in this time, I mean, what I'm gonna get a little emotional because my sister and I, we were like, we thank God we were able to enter into or begin what grief was like with our father, because I feel like on a massive level we're all as a society experiencing grief, loss, and
Yep.
the message, the narrative, I just want to get back to normal. When am I going to get back to normal?
Mhm.
And I think when we slow down and realize that
Mhm.
who we have become, we have to learn how to be gracious and nice to that person and not
Okay.
hold on to who we were,
Yes.
because this has brought
Are
us,
y'all hearing this? Come
Yes.
on.
this is what
Woo.
this time is, and that's what grief does. It really brings you to a place of having to just look at who you are right now and learn how to let go, as well as be gracious to who you are right now. And therapy helped me do that too. So I would say, yeah.
That is so good. Oh my gosh. Mixie, I have to just hop onto that one real quick because listen. That conversation of being gracious to yourself, lot of mercy. We
Yeah.
can end it right there. We can end it right there.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about as a person who I was actually just having this conversation today with my cousin um about how you may not necessarily perceive judgment from other people, but
Mhm.
you internalize your own judgment of
Yep.
yourself.
Yeah.
And I mean, as you were talking, you're like, I can get emotional about that. And I'm like, sis, I could get emotional about this part right here. Because for
What's
real, like because for me, I know for myself, that is legitimately the struggle of being kind
Yeah.
to
to me
yourself?
when I'm like, yo, like, it's okay. Like, all of these things did happen, like all of these extenuating circumstances did happen. And
Yeah.
now it's like the response, your internal response is blank. And this being your internal response is so okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
But it's like in my mind, it's like, hurry up. Like the same
Yeah.
thing that you were
Right. You
saying,
want
Mixie,
to.
like,
We be
hurry
like,
up. Like, why you, girl, get off of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, why
Yeah.
you don't need to be on, but it's like, but I am.
mm-hmm.
And to even admit that to self.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember, I'm just gonna quick drop. I remember having a conversation with my therapist about that. Like my therapist saying to me, why are you upset? This, very similar to what you were talking about, anger. And it's like, I'm not upset. She's like, yeah,
You are.
you're upset. You like, and I was like, I'm really not. And then I started bawling and I was like, don't tell me I'm upset. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but I really am. And it's so okay for us to like, I just think it's so unfair for us to assume that if we have one, we're weaker
Yeah.
by not having the other. And I've heard that, especially being Haitian, Black woman. I feel like we've all heard that to some degree or another.
And it's a social thing too.
Yeah.
Like when
Yeah.
I teach
Social and
acting.
cultural. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a we especially in American society. I don't know about others, but I know that like I teaching acting. I was just teaching Stella Adler technique. I think it's so great. Because she talks about, she says, our natural way of being, the way we feel we have learned to get through the world is to diminish, is
Ooh.
to downplay. Even the language we use, oh, I feel away. I'm not giving you the feeling I feel away.
A
Everything
way.
in us, right. Which way is that?
Which
Which one?
way? Let me know which way. Lot of
I'm
mercy.
guilty of that. I'm guilty of that.
Right. We don't get,
A way.
it's good because it allows us to move, right? We can move forward. Emotions slow us down. Showing people our insides
Emotions slow
makes
us
us
down.
vulnerable.
What is Mixie saying? Lot of mercy. Come on,
But I'm
y'all.
telling you, that's a learned way of being, and we have to unlearn that. God calls us to do that. Jesus does, and therapy is a tool or a vehicle to slow down and unlearn some ways that we have of being that we felt like help us to survive the world, but not necessarily live the Christian life.
Ooh.
Nah.
It's different. It's different.
Survive a world.
But not live the life that God has called
Live.
us to, because that's different, right? If I'm able to hide and mask, I may be seen as successful and surviving and thriving to others, but
Dying inside.
internally, right?
Yep.
Internally, I'm not.
Yep.
I'm not.
Yep.
And
Woo.
that's why we hear people who have lost and have fallen or give up, in different ways, because internally they don't have it.
Yeah. You didn't catch up to what your perception was.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of mercy.
Man,
Y'all.
there's so much to talk about when we already at
Y'all. Nah,
Oh, I
Mixie.
wanted
You better start out the month, my girl. Okay.
so we gotta have you back on because I wanted to talk about how does Jesus in therapy address you being an actress and the ups and downs and the ebbs and flows of that, And then I wanted to talk about how does therapy and Jesus help with your current state of singleness and your desires of because a lot of us, I'm what almost 3 years married, but like for years, and a lot of our those who follow us is like, I want to be married, or I want to, and that thing I cannot have. I don't know why I don't have it right now, but I want that thing. So we got to talk about that.
We do, but I will say
That's
this
the best response, y'all. Listen to me. That's the best response when it's like, I want that thing.
I'm gonna drop
That's
this
the
one
answer.
thing that my
That's
therapist
really
said
what
to
it
me.
looked like.
My
Go ahead,
therapist said,
Missy.
the thing that you want, you got to do work on yourself to be able to receive, and that is something that
And sustain. It's not just receive
and
it.
not right
sustain.
and sustain that, and really it's really more about sustain, because it may come, you may be able to see it and put it in your hand and get it in your hand, but then you can't hold on to
But
it.
can you hold it?
And therapy has been a vehicle for that too.
And
Looking
hold
at
it in a healthy manner.
Mm-hmm.
God of mercy. Y'all, did y'all hear this
Yeah.
episode? Okay.
It's good, but
So
yes, all of
yeah,
those
we
things.
we definitely got to talk about why, like how that helps, because I feel like if we talk about it now, that's a whole beast in itself.
That's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, it
That's a
is.
whole beast in itself. And for some reason, I thought we can have that conversation here.
We gotta do an Instagram live with you, Mick.
Yeah,
Because and that just goes to show the people that on our YouTube. Make sure you're following us on our Instagram as well at Life with Trey and Jay. That's TRAYANDJEA. But yeah, like we definitely have to, because this is there's so many different areas by which we can unpack this. And I know we're talking about this for the month, but this is like cohorts. Like this is a whole entire cohort in and of itself. Okay. But yeah, like this is so good. So good. I really like for real, our prayer in doing this conversation is, yes, of course, for someone to like, yo, I'm gonna go to therapy, like, and be celebrated for going to therapy and making the decision to go to
Mhm.
therapy. Um, but truly like giving yourself the space to unpack your heart. Like
Yeah.
that's what this is. Like, because Jesus has called us, and I know that this is something that we talked about in February, and this was our theme for Galentine's, but literally, y'all, the Lord has called us to radical self-awareness. The Lord is not
Yes.
playing games with us, talking about, all right, I'm just out here trying to go to heaven. And it's like, all right, what else? Like, that's it. That's a starter pack, my G. Like,
That's
that's
the
what
starter. That's the
that's
starter
it.
pack.
Like, what else? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
okay, so you trying to give a quick example. It's like you trying to make this big meal and using only salt and pepper. My man, that ain't it. That that
Where's the
ain't
Garlic.
saison? You ain't ready to saison.
no,
Right.
listen.
Where's the garlic? Where's the onions? Where's
Where
the
is the
thyme?
epic? Oh, come on,
Paprika.
y'all. You know, so but for real, it's like if it's like that's so I think I wouldn't want to use the word immature, but I think that
Just
that's
the
such a
beginning.
base
It's just
level. Like
level
I
one.
feel
Yeah.
It's level
like
one.
you know when it's 00 zing zing, it's like, bro, like come on for some more, because it's not just about, okay, I got saved just so I could go to heaven. It's like, but what are you like? How are you actively participating with the Lord in your own life? And
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't mean you're running your own life, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, nah, like you get to
Let,
actively participate and
letting him
allow
lead
this.
and
Go
you
ahead.
following, letting him lead and you following, not
Yes,
laying down, not laying
but at
down,
the
but
same time,
actually
it's
taking
real
the
hard.
Lord. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard, y'all. It's not. We ain't saying that this joint is easy. We talking about the fact that it's like, no, that's why it's such a beautiful gift.
Yeah.
That we get to have therapy. Janelle, earlier this week posted that therapy is a gift from
Mm-hmm.
God. Like, who you know? People really want to sit there and listen to you. Think about your own brain, y'all. Like, you want to listen to your own brain? So imagine people are gifted with being able to listen
Yeah.
to you and process with you and walk alongside you and unpack with you and celebrate with you and like cheer you on when you're like, I really took a shower today. And it's like, you took a shower. You better, you better go because you took a shower today, because they know you haven't taken one in a month. You
Ooh,
haven't taken one in 2 weeks. You haven't taken one in 3 to 4 days. Like they know that. You know what I'm saying? But it's like that goes back to allowing therapy to be what you actually open yourself up to allow. Because you could sit in therapy and they would never know that.
Yeah.
It's information that you
and
get
you
to
won't say it. Yeah.
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 close. Who was it? Ace Hood. Closed mouths don't get fed on the
So
boulevard, bro.
true.
Like, right? But yeah.
So true. It's really important. And I think, when you're at that place, that's another reason why I love that question, Janelle. Why God and therapy? Like, what is that? What does God bring to the table? And also, He works on your heart to be transparent when you
Yeah.
really make God the center of that.
So I'll dial a little back. So whenever I hear people talk about transparency, I'm always very clear to add that yes,
Yes.
mad people can be transparent all day,
Yes.
right? That could be you. It's the fact of you being vulnerable is the difference.
Yes.
Because you can transparently share because you're sharing. But to vulnerably share, everybody don't get access to that. So I
That's right.
think, so I'm not trying to correct what you're saying. I'm just adding to what you're
Yeah.
saying to say like, yes, to be vulnerable is the part.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. And that level of reflection
Yeah.
and willingness to not just share, but also listen to.
Woo!
I mean, because I've come in. I mean, I literally have been, oh, I don't, I didn't call in, or I'm running late. Like I was running always late to therapy in the beginning, and she's like, "What is that about?" And it really was that there was a level of resistance.
I don't
finding
actually
ways
want to
to
be here,
resist.
man. How about that? How about that? How about I actually really don't want to see you? How about that?
Right.
I don't like the fact that I'm even here. How about that? Okay. Yes.
I was like, every time I come here, I'm gonna cry.
Right.
So I'm really just trying to get through my day without breaking down. So how about
I don't want to cry? How about that? And every time I see you, I'm crying. I don't want to do that. Yup. That's real.
And I had to really pray about that. I had to really, and she asked me, I was like, and God really convicted me about that. And it's just like, look, you got to be willing to hear and go through this process. This is part of the process.
Yeah. Yeah. You get to. It's a choice. It's a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a choice.
Mixie, this is too good. Girl, listen to the people them. Listen, y'all. I don't know how y'all in here right now, because for me, I'm over here like, nah, Mixie was out here giving. She was giving what it needed to give. Okay.
It was the Lord is helping me.
Thank you so much for opening up this topic. Like, man, this is so good. Thank you so much for even sharing, vulnerably sharing, transparently sharing, like opening yourself up to reflect on the ways that this has been impactful to you, and how the changes and the growth and the development in yourself that you've seen happen just by saying yes to actively participating in this process of yours. It's so beautiful.
And I thank you, ladies, because you're really using your platform to just bless other people and really get at real conversations. And so I think that's beautiful. And I think the level of your following and how you guys are growing is because of that. You're saying things and hitting on things people want to hear and want to talk about. So I'm honored, and thank you for having me.
And you welcome. Thank you for acknowledging us. Because sometimes we'd be like, we don't know if people are getting anything. So we would love back on. We would love to have you on. All right, y'all.
Yeah.
That being said,
listen, y'all. Tonight was good. Tonight was real good. Mixie was giving what it needed to give, y'all. Okay, so there's that. But thank you all so much for joining us, for participating, for actively being down for the vibes. Just so you know, on this channel, we share our lives to empower women to love Jesus, love themselves, and love others well. So thank y'all, and good night.
Thank
good night.
you. Good night.
Later.